Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mummy Means Business podcast. Today, I'm really excited to be joined by Christina. Christina, I've known her for a few years now. Let's say we know her. I know I've met her through a friend. We actually worked together for a few months. And Christina is the co-founder of Shades of Beauty Live, which is a hair and beauty event for women of color. And the event happens every August, so make sure you look out for that. It's a really, really good, really, really fun event. And yeah, I'm really, really excited to have her on board. Actually, when I decided to start this podcast, Christina was one of the people that came to mind because she's just a boss mom. She's a mom of two, and she has many, many different businesses under her belt, not just this event. She's just so innovative. Even when you have a conversation with her, you always leave kind of like encouraged, like, yes, I need to go out and like do things, basically. So I'm happy and really excited to have you. Hi, Christina. Thank you for joining today.
Hi, Victoria. Thank you so much for having me, and it's a pleasure to be this. And congratulations on the podcast. It's always, easy to talk about doing things, but well done for taking it and bringing it into action.
Yay, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I really procrastinated for like a few months, but I was like, just do it. What's the worst that can happen? But before we kind of jump straight into your the whole business aspect, how has motherhood as a whole been for you? Were you the mum that you thought you would be?
Yeah, motherhood is. I think it's hard for anyone to say that they are the mother that they think they would be. I think it's every day's progress, and trying to make sure that you are balancing everything is always going to be difficult. I think that as mums we wear many different hats. I've come across mums who are just solely dedicated to raising their children, which I think is beautiful. But I think personally for me, I've always felt that I wanted to do just a bit more than just have the title of being a mum, which I'm absolutely happy to be. But I just felt that there was more things that I could be doing apart from raising the children.
So, like, how was it a shock for you though? Like the initial, obviously, your oldest daughter is a bit older than your youngest, so you've been a mum for years now. So it's not like brand new to you. But was that whole aspect of raising a family while you're working, was that kind of hard to do?
I think that with my situation, I've got a really good support network. I've got an amazing husband and an amazing extended family, like grandparents, my brother and sister. So we've got a really good support network. But yes, it is difficult because you do have that mummy guilt of going to work and working for 8 hours a day and then coming home and then feeling tired and only being able to put your daughter to bed or missing out on those school plays or school events because you can't go to a PTA meeting because of work. So yeah, you do have those hang-ups and those guilts that that you wish you could be there for every single moment. But I remember growing up that my parents worked all the time, like all hours, and I don't remember seeing my mum much unless it's the evenings, and same with my dad. But I think that kind of gave me a bit of independence in a way, to be a bit more more hands-on around the house, I guess, in terms of like us taking on a little bit more responsibility and like house roles, like for example cooking or just taking on more chores in the house. I think, and I can see looking back now how taking on those responsibilities at a bit of a young age how that's helped me to adapt to different environments and to look at things differently. So yeah, there is a balance. I wish there could have been there more, but at the same time, I think that I always say to people that are new to parenting, there's no wrong or right way to parenting. And there's one thing that I always look out for in my children is their happiness. And when I go to a parents' evening, and the first thing I ask before, oh, is she doing good in maths or English? I was like, how's she getting on? Is she happy? Is she
Yeah.
happy with the work? Is she happy with her friends and all of that stuff? And teachers are like, really? I said, yeah, I just want to make sure that my child is happy. That's because I know that if she's happy, then whatever's going on in the maths or English can be fixed. And if she's happy, that means that she'll be doing well in school anyway. And it's funny that every single time I do ask that question, that, oh, is she happy? And the following thing is like, yes, she's doing really, really well. And I'm like, yes, I know she's doing well because she's happy. So yeah, understanding, making sure that the children are happy is the most important thing to me. And funny enough, my oldest one, she's 7 years old, and she's, as much as I've traveled for work or I've done things, she's never ever complained to say, Mummy, why don't you spend a lot more time with me or anything like that. Like as soon as I come home from work, the first thing she's kind of like, oh, or on a Saturday or something, she's like, oh, can we read together, or can we sit down and do it? So until she complains about me not spending enough time with her, then I think I'm touched wood. I think I've got the balance right.
Do you know what I had this? I remember you in earlier. You mentioned that you obviously you love being a mum, is so fulfilling, but you just didn't want to just wear the mum hat. And I think I kind of had the same idea as you. But even before I had the child, I was already had my hands in many different pots, and I've always kind of just wanted to do something of my own. And I genuinely thought it would be so easy to do it while I had a kid. And I know that I'm only 3 months in the game. My son is almost 4 months, so like I can't even say anything. But I know, but I feel like, yeah, I bet people are listening saying, oh yeah, like wait until he's 1 or 2, and then, but yeah, I've kind of had that idea that, you know what, like I want to be a mom, I want to do as much for my child and be as present in his life, but I really, really want to have something for myself, which is why I was like, you know what, let me just do something where I can have that balance, similar to what you're saying, that, you can still be present and not have your child feel like you're away so much and don't see you, but you're still kind of fulfilling something that you want to do, really. But what made you want to start kind of your own business? What made you want to jump in and rather than working a full-time job and staying in a full-time job, but doing something of your own?
Well, so at the moment I've got my businesses that I'm working on. So I'm working part-time on business and part-time I'm still going to work like on 2 days a week. But that kind of balance has afforded me the luxury to be able to look after and stay at home with my son. So my son hasn't had a nanny or gone to nursery for the last 2 years, which is what I couldn't do with my first daughter. So she was just juggling between nannies while I was working full time and everything like that. So finally said that you don't want to be a full-time mum, but there's something about having your own business that gives you that again, I go back to independence of being able to set your own hours, set your own time. And and in all honesty, it all goes back to freedom. And the word freedom is what I define as being able to do what you want when you want, to a certain degree. And part of the thing that I think keeps us chained at the moment, that doesn't allow us any freedom, is the 9 to 5. So that's partly the reason why I wanted to start my own business, is to be able to afford that luxury of being able to spend time how I want it. Now, I don't want to ever not work. I really enjoy the businesses that I'm working on, and I'm hoping and praying that they really, really flourish and become the success that they do become. But the other flip side of it is I wanted to leave a legacy for my children, so that they have the option, if they wanted to, if they wanted to work for another employer, that's fine. But at least they know that they've got something that's been built for them, that they can always have the option to run as well, and to work in the business themselves, or if they have something to fall back on. Because I noticed in other different communities, a lot of wealth and freedom comes from companies that have built businesses together, and those businesses have either been handed down, or if they don't run the business themselves, they're like sitting on the board as like the chair members or shareholders, etc. And I find that in the Black community, there's not a lot like that in the UK. So part of building a business, it was really, really motivated by having my first daughter. And I'm just saying to her, I was just thinking in my head that I've had a really hard time working in companies because of the colour of my skin, me being a woman, the way I wear my hair, the way everyone's got a problem with the way I speak. So the list can go on. And I wanted her to have the option of either working in an environment like that where she may be working in a fantastic place and she's happy, she's got fantastic colleagues, fantastic boss, or giving her the ability to have her own creative freedom and do something that she's passionate and enjoys. And I think having my own business and maybe investing in hers as she gets older, if she wants to, or whatever her passion may be, she has that option. Whereas I know for myself and a lot of people that I know in our community, they don't really work because they want to. They work because it's more of a necessity. Whereas friends that I made at university from more affluent backgrounds, there may be like an English background or European background or even an Asian background whose family have built wealth. They have a different viewpoint in terms of they have what I like to call options. If they want to go and work in Selfridges for a couple of days, they can. Or if they want to go and work in their daddy's business, they can, or their daddy's friend's business. And that's a type of freedom that, going back to the word freedom, that's the type of freedom that I want my children to have.
And one thing I've noticed as well, this might be a bit, scandalous in me saying, but that a lot of Black people who are successful in business, I feel like in the Black community, maybe recently now we're getting better, but sometimes you don't pull other people up with you. I feel like sometimes there is a kind of competition that, I'm successful and I don't want to share the details of how I became successful. Whereas in the Asian community or Eastern European community, it's all like a family run, kind of business. It's like the cousin and the uncles and the aunties are all involved and they all know kind of the ins and outs, which is why you can kind of be successful all together. And I know I see that it's getting better now, which is why I wanted to do this podcast, because I was like, there's a lot of people who are successful, but no one knows how they got to that place. So why not have an opportunity to kind of detail, okay, this is the kind of things I needed to do to get to where I am, and it was difficult, it was hard, but it's something that you can do too. So yeah, but Shades of Beauty Live is such an amazing event. You had you launched it for the first time during Carnival weekend last year, and it was really successful all over social media. What was the inspiration behind that specific idea?
I think it was I think, as I always used to say, if you read a lot of all the articles that they wrote about Shades of Beauty, one thing I always mentioned was a film called Girls Trip with Jada Pinkett and Queen Latifah, and I can't come
Regina Hall, and yeah,
that's it. So that film was amazing. I really, really enjoyed watching that film. And went with my girls, and I just thought, I'm so jealous of America. I know everybody always says America is bigger and better, but I just thought, it's such an amazing, because during the film they went to Essence Festival and in New Orleans, and it just looked amazing. Like, they had such an amazing time, and it just kind of like saddened me. Like, there's nothing like that in the UK for women, because as a mum and a wife, like, I'm not gonna go clubbing every night unless it's a friend's birthday or something. It has to be a reason if I'm going to go out. But I wanted to create a space where I could enjoy with my community for something that I need. And the go-to thing was beauty. I was like, why can't it be like a beauty event, but that's really kind of bang up to date and something that that has kind of like a party vibe, but something like I would love to go to every year with my girls. And that's kind of how Shades of Beauty Live was born, because I looked around and I just felt that there was loads of good events out there, but it was like they're just catering for one dynamic of what a Black woman should be. And I think that there's so much different versions of being Black, and there's not one version of like, I'm just a natural hair, kente cloth wearing, or I've got weave on and I only wear bodycon dresses. Do you know what I mean? There's just so many different facets of us. There's so many different faces to being a Black woman, and I felt that needed to be expressed in an event, and that's the reason why I brought Shades of Beauty together, because I wanted us to come together as a community and to have the common goal that we all enjoy looking after ourselves and being creative with our looks, and wherever that may be. And also using it as a safe place as well to have serious discussions about things that are beauty related in our community. So, for example, we had a panel discussion with Kojo the comedian, Tavish J the comedian, and we also had Chimmy Lawson, who's a blogger and a social activist, and we also had Nissa T as well, and they talked about who set the beauty standards, men or women, and we also had serious discussions about beauty and religion. And, you know, does it matter that you wear makeup if you're religious? And we had people that are from a Muslim background or Christian background discussing this, and really interesting talks about that really affects our community, but still has kind of like a beauty related vibe because of the event. And yeah, and you know, that sort of event is what I would personally would love to go to, and that's what I had in mind, and when I created Shades of Beauty Live.
But what were the key steps that you had to take from, you know, the idea to kind of the reality of it? Like, what were the in-betweens you had to kind of do to get up and running?
Well, yeah, I think passion drives a lot of things. I think passion is a great motivator. But as you said, yeah, the steps are that you have to think, okay, money, like, you know, how is this, if this event is going to be a legacy event and it's going to be an event that's inspired by Essence Festival, it has to make sure that it makes money. So the first thing that we looked at was like, what's the scope for sponsorship? What's the scope for exhibition? What's the scope for ticket sales? And we looked at all of those different facets. So once we kind of created a budget plan of like how we're going to move forward with the event, then we just set about looking for a venue. One thing is that when we chose the venue is that we didn't want to be, because we didn't want to be it to be an event that's of a typical vibe of being in a different, and wanted it to be in a different area. So we wanted to go to West London, for example. And then the other thing that we wanted to do was to make sure that we had exhibitions shell schemes, and really kind of bring the event to life by having all the aesthetics. So everyone always remembers the event for being black and yellow from our Instagram photos and everything around that. So we needed to make sure that the yellow kind of stood out for the event. So we went about on the operational side and aesthetic side. So it kind of started to snowball and grew into a larger kind of event as soon as we started contacting people. And I always get this question like, oh, how did you get your first sponsors? And literally it was just my vision and idea. I've just literally got it down on pen and paper and presented it, and a lot of the people that exhibited or sponsored just believed in the vision and believed that there's something like this was really needed in the market.
So it was your passion that almost kind of like helped it to get to where it was.
Yes. I've got a commercial background, so I do understand the commercial side of how events are supposed to be run. I've been doing events and commercial events for over 10 years in my personal career, so that had a lot to do with it as well. But as you said, yeah, the passion was a big thing. It's funny because once you put your idea out there and you communicate that to other people, you start to find a lot more people are in agreement with you. So that's what I found, is that once I communicated that I feel that there's a space that's needed for all different types of Black women to come together and celebrate their beauty and explore new brands and new products by Black women as well as the mainstream brands, and have interesting conversations and talks about beauty and the community. A lot more people just put their hands up and said, yeah, we do need this type of event, we do need this type of modern event. And the people that did put their hands up and say that they're in agreement are people like the exhibitors, the attendees, the sponsors, all felt the same way.
And I know you mentioned earlier that, you know, when you kind of put all your vision and your ideas into, you know, on pen and paper, it was you had people who believed in you and were on board, and that's how you helped to secure your initial sponsor. But in terms of financing the whole event, was that, you know, a big task, or was that not as hard as it kind of seems?
It is a big task. I think, you know, you've got to make sure that the simple things are covered. So you've got to make sure your tickets are covered. We also hired a PR company and a media liaison officer as well that was helping us liaise with the media. So all of those things had to be costed in. So you would need to invest your own money, and always advise people that, you can save. And people, because when people ask, well, how do you do an event? It's like people save money to buy houses, the same way that people save money to invest in businesses. So that's a chance that we took. So we saved and we put our money where our mouth is. And I know a lot of people would rather. Some people, some of the money that we spent in it is the same amount of money that somebody will go and spend on a Range Rover. And so that's the way I see it, or go and spend on
like a material thing, something that's not of value,
luxury handbags or anything like that. So it's just that same money, but it's where you would want to invest it, and a lot of people have that money in their bank account, but they just choose to invest it in different things.
So you kind of needed your own. So obviously you had external, investors, but you also needed to kind of stop believing yourself as well, almost like putting your own finance into it.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. You've got to invest in yourself financially. I know people. I think when people think of like entrepreneurs, modern day entrepreneurs, always think of like angel investors and all these big investors coming to invest in them. But I think the reality of it is that first of all, before anyone can invest in you financially, you need to invest in yourself, and you need to prove to them that that you really are to be taken seriously. And I think what made a big difference for us last year is that we did a promo video for Shades of Beauty Live, and I think that kind of proved to the sponsors that we as a company are taking ourselves seriously doing this event, because we've invested in doing a promo video, and which could have landed nowhere. But that, I think the video really kind of showcased that, okay, then these people mean business. And that was one of the feedback that we got from one of our sponsors. I was saying, when we saw your video, we just thought, you guys look like you're really serious about putting on a really good event.
And did you have to kind of convince your husband to, jump on board and support with this idea? I know you mentioned that you have multiple businesses, so Shades of Beauty is not, the only business that you work on. So, what was kind of his thoughts when you brought him this idea?
He's always supportive, very, very supportive. And I think, me and my husband were both of that kind of nature, that life is too short. So if you got an idea and you believe in it, just run with it, and just see how far it can take you. Because I think the worst thing about life in general is just living with regrets. Like, I'd rather would have said I've tried and it didn't work, rather than saying, oh, I wish I tried. I don't like the word I wish. I just rather do it and just see how far I can get. And in that way, I guess you can never really I always, when I always hear stories about people, like what they say, before they die, and say, oh, I just want to make sure I live life with no regrets. And I think that's the same law that applies for me and my husband when we talk about any new ventures that we want to do, or any new things that we want to try.
I think that I live by the same kind of mantra, and so does my husband. Like, you just, anything that you want to do, you just have to just do it. Like, there's, the worst that could happen is if you fail, and failing is not that much of a big deal. It's just kind of helping you to learn what you did wrong and helping you to kind of do better the next time, really. So yeah, I definitely advise anyone, if you have any business ideas, just go for it. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
But what were the challenges that you faced? Like, if you had to kind of I know you must have. Did you face a lot of challenges?
So many challenges. I think. Do you know what? I looking back at all my business ventures and things that I've done, I think I was talking to my sister, who's also my business partner. Is I look at pain differently, if that makes sense. So before, I used to look at pain as this thing that, I don't want to go through this. Like, I will pray. I'll be like, oh, please, God, just like make this day an easy day for me. But what I've come to learn is that actually pain is a beautiful thing. And if it leads to a path of joy and success and love and all things positive. And what I mean by that is that obviously if pain leads to death and destruction, you don't want that. But if pain leads to joy, success, and happiness, you do want that sort of pain. And it's the same pain, like you've just had a 4-month-old baby, and you had to go through a pain, but without that pain, you wouldn't have been able to gather that strength to push, right?
Yeah,
like if you were really
definitely.
smiling happy, like your body wouldn't have recognized, okay, I've got to push this baby out. And it's the same thing with pushing past struggles. So whenever I experience any challenges or pain in my business, it's because I have never come across it. And what it did create is momentum. So what I mean by that is that, when for example, we nearly lost the dates for the venue, or when nearly lost the venue, or we had people cancel, or major sponsors pull out. All of those pains, you can either bend and fold and just say I'm not going to do anything, or you push past the pain, and you overcome it with solutions and positivity. Then there is a light, there is a light at the end of that rainbow, as they say. And that light for us was actually completing the event, and for it to be a success, and for people to leave happy. So yeah, I think you've got to look, it's all about perspective, and the way you've got to see pain is as a challenge, I guess, and just to be more excited about the next challenge.
And it's true because look, like the event, obviously, you would never have seen any challenges that you faced because the event was so successful. You had such positive feedback everywhere on social. Even people, that I met or people from my work were telling me, "Oh yeah, have you heard of this, new event, Shades of Beauty?" I know some people with new events, they're a bit skeptical about going to the first year. They always want to kind of wait until they hear feedback before they go again. But people attended, and it was really great. But was it easier to face the challenges with a business partner rather than you just kind of doing it by yourself?
100%, 100%. It was amazing to share that journey with my sister Grace, and because I think when they say that athletes are able to transfer into being a business person, I think it is that kind of mental strength that you have to build up. And for me, for my journey, every single time if something doesn't happen for me, I'm like, okay, I'm actually building my mental strength up for the next challenge. So that's why it was great to have Grace there, because there's times when I was just like, I don't want to get out of bed, I don't want to do this today, why did I start this event in the first place? Is being a pain. And to be able to talk through those problems with her, and to be able to stay on that positive path, and to be like, okay, then we're not going to let this defeat us, we're going to push past this. We might have a break today, not talk about Shades of Beauty Live today, and just do something different, like go for a walk, go for shopping, or just do a completely different task, and then just use that time, that day or two, just to refocus, and then come back to Shades of Beauty Life. Was the most amazing part of sharing that journey with another business partner. And also, it's also good just to reflect as well, and just to replan and find solutions.
And were you working on Shades of Beauty while you were like working part time? So you had your part-time job, you had, your multiple businesses, this event, massive event, and your family. How did you, manage your time with your friends, or like, getting your hair done or getting your nails done, or like just, doing going through your usual routine?
Well, the hair was sorted out by a wig and cane rolls that were taken every 2 weeks. So that part was ticked.
That's the blessing of having a wig.
And so
Even since I've had Xavier, like doing my
yeah,
hair is just a mission. Like I just put the wig on and I'm done.
I'm done, exactly. And then people, because it was like, oh, like you still wear wig. I was like, look, on the weekends, yeah, the hair is coming out. It's natural. This is a natural path. I do my conditioning. I go to family events with my
Hmm.
hair. My son's birthday, my hair was up in the natural hair. But then during the week, I just find it like I haven't got time, like to literally. And then people will say that's a poor excuse, but literally, I'm juggling so many different things. I literally spend 5 minutes doing my makeup and my hair, and because I go to the gym, I have a shower, come back. And I love having a shower. I'm in the shower for at least half an hour. That's just my routine. But I will spend
That's
less
your
than
alone time.
that's my alone time. I spend less than 5 or 10 minutes just putting makeup on and getting my hair ready. And then I get dressed and then I go. But yeah, it is difficult juggling your time. I think the best thing is I love Gmail. I love connecting my Gmail to my calendar. I think having tools, really good technology tools to keep you everything scheduled in and all your children's appointments and stuff scheduled in. I do share a lot with my husband. I love to delegate. I think it's always good to delegate. I think sometimes as Black women we think we're superwomen. I think we could take on everything. But one thing I have learned is that delegation is key. So having that good support network of where you can get your mom, your sister, your best mate to help you out, I think that's amazing. And I've learned that you go a lot more places faster when you're working with people rather than working.
Yeah. 100%. I think that's something that I've even learned myself. This year I was speaking to another mum about this as well, and she was talking about the importance of building a team from early on, that sometimes there's only so much you can do just by yourself, so it's important to get people on board. But do you find this is something that I find difficult, do you find it hard to kind of switch off the business brain and just be like, not like a wife or a mum, and just kind of live in the moment without constantly thinking, okay, I need to do this next, I need to do, because sometimes even when I'm with Xavier, I'm constantly thinking, okay, I need to send this email, I need to make this phone call while I'm with him, so I need to like switch that business brain off and turn on like my relaxed brain. Do you find that difficult sometimes?
I think that it's got its peaks and troughs, and I'm still learning my pattern. That I'm starting to tell, like, there's certain probably periods in a month that you'll be like, I probably have a little bit more anxiety about the business stuff than other times of the month. But I practice meditation a lot in the evenings. I try to unwind as much as I can. If I haven't got any deadlines or, as you said, emails to send out. But yeah, I can. And this is why sometimes I switch off from social media, because that picture of being a perfect mum, it's just not possible. I don't think even someone as famous as Beyonce can't be doing it, the best. I don't think any of us are going to probably be have these perfect mum lives. And I think not being hard on yourself is one of the things. And yeah, you're not going to be perfect at not switching off, or I think you just have to be a bit more forgiving, and just, as I said at the beginning, as long as you're checking with your child and just make sure that they got a fun and happy environment, and your stress is not having an impact on them. I think that's the most important thing.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much, Christina. You've been so good to have on this podcast. I just have one more question for you before I let you go. So what advice would you give to a mum, or, not even just a mum, but anyone who wants to start a business or start an event or work on an event like you have? What advice would you give them?
I would say make sure, it sounds really, really silly, but just like going to the gym, just make sure you stay disciplined and focused, and do not because sometimes when you have great ideas, sometimes you can get swayed. So I just say stay the course and stay focused.
Great. Well, make sure you all stay focused out there. Definitely advice that I am going to live by. Stay focused, stay disciplined. But yeah, thank you so much, Christina. Thank you so much for being on this podcast. Oh,
what you're doing is amazing, and I'm sure there's going to be loads of mums out there that's just going to be loving to listen to this podcast, because I think there's something very special about being a mum and being able to fulfill your dreams personally as well.
yes, definitely. I think that's something that I'm trying to do in this maternity leave. Hopefully that happens. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening to this podcast. Make sure you tune back in. We have another episode next week with another amazing mum who, is great in business, work, and as a beautiful, fantastic mum raising a family. You can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcast, on SoundCloud, Spotify, and what was the last one? Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast. There's another one, but any music app listening thing that you have on your phone, if you search for Mummy Means Business, you probably will find me. And yeah, thank you so much, and tune in next week.